Okay, this is my weekly report on the electrical supply for Ontario. I take some snapshots a couple times a day, but at least once a day anyway, mostly two, from the IESO.CA website. That's the Independent Electrical System Operator.ca website, IESO.CA website. And every hour they give you an update on what the supply of electricity and what the demand of electricity is for Ontario. So the demand is fairly low this time of year, end of April and May. Uh, they're called the shoulder months. The spring months and the fall months are called the shoulder months. This is when the lowest demand um, of electricity is required for Ontario, and that's what we're in right now. It's also a great time for wind. Wind usually it steps up pretty good here in the spring, and also in the fall. But right now in the spring, but we're going to see that wind does not always give us a good amount of megawatts to supply our grid, and we're going to see that this week. There are some days where wind was tremendous and supplied quite a bit of electricity for us. Solar came through on the one day with a few hundred megawatts, which is it's still very low for solar, but it just can't do it with the Great Lakes and all the overcast skies in Ontario here. So, and the wind it's just too inconsistent. Sometimes it blows great, sometimes it's nothing. You can't fly a kite. So anyway, I'm just going to go through some data. I picked these snapshots or screenshots of the ISO website on a regular basis, and I'm just going to share with you some numbers. I'll put into my description. I'll put all the numbers down so you can review them. So here we go. So let's start with Tuesday, April the 25th. So today at 12 noon, the demand, of course, nuclear leading the pack always is 8,710 megawatts, followed by hydro or hydroelectricity, 5,850 megawatts. Quite a bit of natural gas today. They were in third place. Natural gas with 1,471 megawatts required. Wind really didn't cut it, less than 20% of the installed capacity, only 921 megawatts. And solar, 188, or of a potential 2,500. So that just gives you an idea what wind and solar could do, but they can't, just because of the overcast skies and the lack of wind. So that was at 6 o'clock or at noon today. Those numbers, and then at 9 p.m. tonight, which happened to be the peak of the day, the highest of the day, the nuclear came in again at 7,897 megawatts. So down about almost 1,000 from the earlier in the day, and hydro was up to 6,350. Because of the nuclear being down another 1,000 megawatts off there, natural gas was way up at 2,915 megawatts. So natural gas, huge supplier of electricity in Ontario. I don't know how we're going to get away with not burning natural gas to supply electricity. So, and then of course wind died right off from 921 at noon to 288 in the evening, and of course solar was dark, so solar was 0. So that is for Tuesday, April the 25th. So Wednesday, April 26th, I got a couple readings here. One at noon. Again, nuclear, 7,913 megawatts. Hydro, 5,979 megawatts. Natural gas, again, way up, 1,920 megawatts. Solar outperformed wind at noon on Wednesday. Solar produced 212 megawatts. And wind was way down at only 123 megawatts. Very little wind on Wednesday at noon. Now at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, I got nuclear at 7,911 megawatts. Hydro's up a bit, 6,212. As the peak grows, they put a little bit more water through the water turbines. Natural gas was way up to 2,143 megawatts. Wind came back up, surpassed solar, 258 megawatts, and solar was only 13 megawatts. Of course, it's late in the evening. It's only 8 o'clock p.m. So not a lot of sun shining at that time. So that's the report for Wednesday. Now for Thursday, April the 27th, I only got one reading. I'm sorry, that was at noon. I have nuclear at 7,898 megawatts, hydro at 5,823, natural gas in third place again at 1,640 megawatts, wind 532 megawatts, and solar up pretty good, 382 megawatts for solar on Wednesday the 27th. On the 28th, at 6 o'clock at night, this is the only reading I got on the 28th. We had nuclear at 78.98, hydroelectric at 56.49, wind. This big wind day, just under 3,000 megawatts, 2,956 megawatts, which really reduced our natural gas use down to only 925 megawatts. Of course, at 6 p.m., solar was only 53 megawatts, so very little contribution from our commercial solar power in Ontario. So the next day, April the 29th at noon, we have nuclear leading the way always as 7,884 megawatts, hydro at 5,565 megawatts. Another fairly good day for wind again, 1,522 megawatts, natural gas 899. So by that amount of wind, cut back on our natural gas use, and then solar, of course, a little bit better than yesterday, but only 95 megawatts. So at 9 p.m., this is our peak time. Nuclear 7889, 7,889 megawatts. Hydro 5,959. Wind holding in there at 1,484 megawatts. Natural gas again 889 megawatts. And of course 9 o'clock at night solar was 0 because it's dark. So April 30th, I got one reading at noon on April the 30th. I got two readings on April 30th. At noon, I got nuclear at 78.86, hydro at 54.33, natural gas back up into third place with 1,487, wind way down 773, a little bit of solar, 84 megawatts. At 8 p.m. at night, we got nuclear 78.91, hydro 55.91, natural gas 1,714. Wind's up a bit to 1,065 megawatts, and solar's down to only 13 megawatts, of course, later in the evening. And finally, on May the 1st, Monday, May the 1st, I have two readings, one at 11 o'clock. That nuclear is at 8,474 megawatts, so we've got units coming back online there. They're back up over 8,000. Hydro, 5,576 megawatts. Big day for wind. Wind good today, 2,149 megawatts. And even then, with 2,149 megawatts from wind, we still had 1,017 from natural gas. At 6 p.m., nuclear is up a little bit more to 8504, hydro 5414, wind way up to 2465, really good day for wind. Natural gas 1301, so as we get later in the evening, the demand goes up, so we need more and more natural gas, despite the fact that wind is up a bit. Also, solar contributed at 153 megawatts, so 1,300 megawatts from natural gas to meet the peak demand. So that's the week in review of what's going on. And you can get all this information yourself. All you needed to go to is the IESO.CA website. That's IESO.CA. And they'll give you an hourly report. You can check for yourself. All I do is I just set an alarm and go to that website, take a screen capture of the demand and what's supplying it, and just reporting on that. That's all I'm doing. So you can do it yourself. You can check it out, and you can see that wind and solar, even though we all hoped that they would be the be-all end-all to green energy supply for Ontario, they just didn't cut it. So anyway, that's it for my report today. It's Rotten Johnny signing off. Bye.